Hello and welcome back to the Rebel Mind, where we talk about everything rebellious mindset related, from how to grow personally to how to market ethically. Thank you for coming back if you are a repeat viewer, and welcome if you are a new viewer. I'm Lauren. I am a freelance copywriter and entrepreneur, and this is my channel where I hopefully help you with some shit. And so today, I wanted to talk about some common questions that I've had from freelance entrepreneurs that they think are related to their experience or just being new in copywriting, but I know that it's actually related to their mindset. So, one question I got, I wrote them down. Am I good enough to start? This is probably more obvious that it's a mindset related question. At least I hope it is. Whenever, like, imposter syndrome is a bitch. And when we start something new, it's really natural to feel like I'm not good enough, especially if you fundamentally have low self esteem or if you have had a lot of situations, perhaps in your work life or revolving around something in your new career field that makes you feel that way. Whether that's a past abusive boss or maybe were dyslexic growing up and you're starting a career as a writer and you're like, oh my God, how am I going to write as dyslexic? But that might be my own reflection. um, so, how do you feel good enough? And my big tip for that is do some affirmations. You have to fix that programming because the problem is not whether you're good enough. The problem is your belief in yourself. So write some affirmations. If you have some super specific um, insecurities, say, let's use my example of being dyslexic and having a fear of not being a good writer. This was what I experienced when I first started freelance writing before I got into copywriting. I grew up, um, I really couldn't read until I was like second or third grade. I was a very poor reader and I developed so much anxiety and teasing and trauma and everything relating to that because of my difficulty with reading. And it turns out I was dyslexic. And I didn't know that until I was an adult. So I had all of this inferiority, this not good enoughness revolving around my ability to read and write well. And so when I started writing, it was this I am not good enough. Like, how am I good enough? Like, oh my God, imposter syndrome times 20, right? What you have to do is work at reprogramming, working on affirmations and redirecting your thoughts that go into this loop of I'm not good enough. What am I doing? I'm dyslexic. I can't even fucking read. Like, what am I doing writing? Stuff like that. Reprogram that shit and be like, no, I'm actually going to be better at it because I'm more careful, because I pay more attention to what I'm doing. Then I'm going to be so good at this shit that I'm going to be a top selling author, or I'm going to be the top of my field because I spend the time to understand. You're not completely reversing like, nope, see, I have no problems, this is totally good. You're leaning into the strength that you've developed because of this thing that you've identified as a deficit, right? So that was something that I did. I'm like, no, you know what? I have my checks and balances. I got my Grammarly. I have my other apps that help me review what I'm doing. I listen to it out loud. So you have the actual things that you're doing that you're probably gonna already be doing because you're concerned about the quality of work that you're putting out, or so you're probably going to have some checks and balances anyways, even if you don't have an issue with um dyslexia or whatever. You're probably going to have some sort of editing system that's going to be able to catch these grammatical mistakes that you might be making anyways. Like, everybody probably has that, right? At least I hope so. And so the next component is to figure out the mind component. How can you reprogram or recenter your mind around that? So if you're having this, I'm not good enough for XYZ mentality going on within your freelancing, within your business, or even just like in general, like you're by default good enough. Like you're good enough, babe. You know, if you're having that struggle, start working at reprogramming your mind and setting up some affirmations that combat that. You don't have to write affirmations in a way that make you feel like you're lying to yourself. You can have the same type of affirmation and write it in a way that feels good. It doesn't have to be like these polar opposite affirmations. Maybe you build up to that. You got to do what feels good, but just rewrite it in a way that makes you feel good. Talk to yourself like you would talk to the younger version of yourself. Like if you met yourself as a child, talk to yourself that way. Don't talk to yourself like you do now with like the so mean. Like stop being mean to yourself, bestie. So, next question that I got was, what are some projects that would be great for me to take on as a newbie? And my answer to that is anything you fucking want, bitch. Because, like, that's how you learn. And say you have this huge sales page and you've never done a sales page before. Guess what? Everyone who's done a sales page has not done a sales page before and has had that first sales page that they had to do. So it doesn't matter if you're brand new at copywriting and you only know how to write a blog. There's so much information out there. There's so many, like, there's a great book called Breakthrough. Hold on, bitch. I got it. This one. Breakthrough copywriting. So if you're not sure on how to do something, Google it. Pick up a book. Talk to me. I will help you. And you can figure out any sort of new type of copywriting. It has nothing to do with being new at it. Maybe you need some practice with it. Maybe try and do some test runs of things before you actually submit something to a client. Hire an editor maybe for this first big sales page. Okay, hire an editor for that, somebody who specializes in copywriting, so that way you have somebody to look over this for you and you don't have as much fear that you're going to deliver something that's going to underperform. And also know that your one piece of copy is not the only thing in a marketing system that can cause something to fail. There are so many parts that can cause a whole campaign to flop. One thing being like the algorithm with Facebook ads. Not everybody hires somebody to appropriately put an ad campaign. So it doesn't mean the copy on your ad or the copy on your sales page wasn't good. It could literally mean that it wasn't put into the system properly on the back end, and that caused the entire campaign to fail. So your copywriting does not hold all of the weight for a client's success, and have that in mind with every piece of copy that you do. You're not the only one carrying the weight here. And so that being said, that should alleviate a little bit of the pressure that you might be feeling when it comes to doing a new piece of copy. And so whenever you are thinking like, am I good enough to take this on, or should I take this on as a newbie and stuff like that? The answer, yes. Whatever it is, whether that's a whole huge campaign or that's just a new piece of copy, the answer is yes, take it on. It doesn't matter if you're a newbie. It doesn't matter if you're a seasoned professional. If you have something, somebody's interested in your work, they like what you do, and they're like, hey, will you write this for me? The answer is yes, do it. As long as it feels good to you, like you like the company and like your values align, things like that, like do it. Just because you're a newbie doesn't mean you have to limit yourself. The next question was, how do I exchange insecurity for confidence? And this kind of, I guess, comes down to that imposter syndrome and the not good enough thing again. So we're all going to have insecurities that we have to deal with. Affirmations, again, are another thing that you can do that's going to help you to combat those insecurities. And through one thing you can do that might help with your confidence in relation to like your copywriting would be to hire a coach or a copywriting editor, something along those lines, somebody that can look at your copy and just validate, because we don't always get the data. We don't always get like the information from our clients saying like, oh, this performed so well, or we got these many numbers, or, we don't always get that information. It's great when we do, but we don't always get that information. So sometimes you just have to have like an external professional to look at your stuff and be like, yeah, you did a good job on this, and things like that. And that's okay. Having that little external validation in your work is totally fine. So that's one aspect, but also affirmations, start doing that reprogramming again. Over time, your confidence will start to build, and you might notice that you might have more insecurities in one department over another. But if your overall self-esteem is not great, then it's just take some time to self-care and reprogram. And it takes time. Think about, how long your mind has treated you a certain way. It's going to take time for you to build up that confidence and build up that bravery in the courage to do new things, or to step outside that comfort zone and feel confident outside of your comfort zone. Feel confident in this new avenue of your life, or this new contract or piece of copy, or whatever you might be feeling insecure about. It takes time to build up that confidence in that uncertainty, but know that with practice and dedication into that reprogramming, that stuff will happen. Yes, I hear you. Sorry, my cat has something to say. You want to tell them? You want to tell them, babe? She had something to say. You tell them. Tell them you're awesome. No, you say get the fuck out of here. Okay. Okay. Final question is, how do I not sound naive when you don't know something? So this one, again, you might feel like, oh, I'm a newbie, I don't know what I'm doing, and so I don't want my client to know that I don't know what I'm doing. There are people, I've been in this industry for a hot minute now, and I still don't know everything, especially because marketing, things are always changing in marketing. I mean, look at what things were like 5 years ago with algorithms and social media, and girl, I got photobombed. And things like that. And then how they are now. Like 5 years ago, TikTok was not this like big sensation, and like you could post things on Facebook and social media and Instagram and have those campaigns be successful. And now like you need to gravitate more towards video content because of TikTok, And that's all changed like in the last 5 years, and transformed how we market. And so you're not always going to know everything. There's literally going to be no point to where you don't know something. Or rephrase that sentence. There's literally going to be no point in your career where you know everything. So you're always going to be naive in some sort of part and stuff. The thing is to have that mindset of it's okay not to know. It's okay to tell your client, I'm not so sure about that. Let me check into things and I'll let you know. That is totally okay. In fact, they're probably going to have more trust in you and more trust in what you're going to be telling them, because they know that if you don't know an answer, you're going to find it out. So they trust that that's going to be probably more accurate information than if you just spewed some bullshit. Like, how often do you hear somebody just, that they don't know what they're saying and they're coming up with something because they're afraid to look dumb? Like, those people, you usually take everything they say with a grain of salt. Grain of sand? What's the saying? Grain of salt. Anyways, so if you have a situation where you don't know something and you're like, I'm not so sure about that. Like, let me double check on this and I will get back to you. And then you get back to them with accurate information. That person is going to trust you so much more. So your naivety is not a problem. That it's not a thing. And you have all of the tools that you need to be successful. You have everything you need within you to be successful. And all you have to do is start trusting yourself, which I know is harder to do than said. Easier said than done. You know? So it's easier said than done to trust yourself, but know that you have all of the tools available to you and you're able to deliver whatever it is that you need to deliver. And maybe it actually might make you a little bit more awesome for that client, more awesome of a copywriter when you're not sure about something and maybe you don't feel that 100% confident. So you're going to go above and beyond. Somebody who is like totally like arrogantly confident, you know, in their stuff is like, I know, I've been in this industry forever. I know what I'm doing. And then they don't double check things. They don't do the checks and balances. But because you are newer, you're probably going to go and do some more checks and balances. You're probably going to go find some more updated information, while this person over here who's been doing it for a decade has been doing it the exact same way for a decade. But then things have changed and they're not paying attention to that because they're like, well, I've been doing this for all of this time. Things have changed. And so newer people might actually be working with more updated information than the seasoned professionals. So keep that in mind, understanding that you have some strengths in being newer. There is value in that, and there is some some good things in that. So I hope this helps you, and I hope, you know, if you have any other mindset hurdles that you want me to talk about, you have any questions or anything like that, hit me up, write a comment, share this video, like, do all of the things, and let's start a revolution.